Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for popping up out of that.
No, that's all right. I'm so
Yeah.
grateful to be next. I can't tell you. I wasn't expecting it, and I'm grateful to have the chance. I just wanted to say a few words about this. First of all, I want to thank my colleague, Senator Brown, for his partnership on this, and the chairman for your partnership with the rest of the Democrats on the committee. I would say, with respect to my Republican colleagues, and I do have a lot of respect for them, I want to say that they have played a role that's been important over the years in the child tax credit and in the earned income tax credit. Something I like about both of these programs is that they don't require you to add an additional bureaucrat to the federal government to administer them. I really like that as a Democrat, and I do think there has been leadership here. I feel like that leadership's come at a very high cost sometimes, which has been the reduction of taxes for the wealthiest people in this country at a time when our income inequality is as great as it's been since the 1920s, when we have a terrible lack of economic mobility. You know, I would rather be funding the child tax credit and funding the earned income tax credit than borrowing money from workers, police officers, firefighters in America, just so we can give another tax cut to the wealthiest people in America who don't need it. I don't think the American people support that. I don't think they want us to do that anymore. And the reason why is that in their lives, it's not 1996 anymore. We have had 50 years of trickle-down economics in this country, in this beautiful and great country of ours. And in this country, that has caused us to have one of the highest rates of income inequality in the industrialized world. That has caused us, the work this committee has done, has caused us to have some of the lowest economic mobility of any industrialized country in the world. And as a former urban school superintendent, has created a tragedy for the United States, which is that 50%, we have almost the highest rate of childhood poverty in the industrialized world. That's what we're facing, and our parents are having to spend $30,000 just to pay for child care. And Dr. Meyer is living in an imaginary world, in my view, with all respect, where people who are working 2 and 3 jobs in the whose kids are in the Denver public schools, my old district, and somehow they have time to figure out when this committee passes an increase in the child tax credit, and that's going to cause them to stop working months before they get the check. That's not reality. The reality is a world where parents are scraping by every single month. They can't afford the rent in this savage economy. They can't afford to pay for food. They can't afford to pay for child care. It's tragic. They can't afford to work in America because it's so expensive to pay for child care, unlike in other countries in the world, and because their health care isn't predicted. And that's why Sherrod Brown and I did what we did with the child tax credit. And I will say, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add for the record the Irvine study, the Columbia study, the Urban Institute study, just so my colleagues know that Dr. Meyer's position is not the majority position. The majority position is this worked. We showed that America does not have to accept as a permanent state of our economy or a permanent state of our democracy this level of childhood poverty. We should end childhood poverty in America. That's what I believe. Why does the richest country in the world have one of the highest poverty rates in the world? Why do we have an education system, tragic, that doesn't have quality preschool, that doesn't have quality K-12, and higher education is so expensive that education system where colleagues of mine say, well, don't do anything on the child tax credit, let's rely on the education, where that education system's actually reinforcing the income inequality we have. A world where Ms. Lester has to come here and say to this committee, no, I'm not going to make the economically idiotic, irrational decision of giving up my job where I have to pay $30,000 for childcare for an additional incremental $300 a month. which lifted 50% of the poor kids out of poverty in this country. And I want to finish, my time is up, but let's talk about the 19 million kids we've left out because we didn't extend this credit. 95% of those families, of that 19 million, the poorest kids in America, are working, are living with a retired relative, are living in a household with somebody who's got a disability, or whose kids are under the age of 2. So what I would beg and say to my colleagues is, let us work together on this. Let's build on the success that we have. Let's accept that the majority of the studies are right, and Dr. Meyer might actually be wrong, because he probably is. And let's commit together to end childhood poverty in America and create an economy that when it grows, finally, as it has not for the last 50 years, but when it grows in America, that it grows for everybody, not just the people at the very top, and that this country can stand for both freedom and for opportunity. That's what we have to do in this country.
We have to move on, in spite of the fact that the chairman of this committee agrees with so much of what Senator Bennet has